Yeah? Good to see you.
Watch your damn self. Oh, you think you're real scary, huh? I'll show you scary. Whoa! Oh! Oh, ground's coming up real fast.
So we've been playing tons of Red Dead Redemption in the office. There's going to be a lot of people out there that haven't played a Red Dead game in the series, but GTA 5 was obviously a huge game. So this is kind of geared at people who have played a lot of GTA 5, maybe not have played Red Dead before. All the reasons why we think people should make the jump. We're going to try and sell Red Dead to you using GTA 5 as like a stopping point, or a reference point really, because there's obviously a lot of similarities, but also a plethora of differences, but they marry well together. I know you've played both. We're going to start talking about the world of the game. How do you think they compare? Which do you prefer? The two vastly different settings that are done in a similar style.
So GTA 5 is a lot more recognisable to us as a familiar place because it's set in like a mock California, Los Angeles location, and it's a big parody on the real thing, basically. Yeah. So it does poke fun at things that are currently happening in the world, or were happening at that time that GTA was made. Whereas Red Dead is less of that, and it feels more realistic, would you say?
Yeah, the thing that I've really loved about Red Dead so far, it's an avenue or a medium for drama, whereas I feel that GTA 5's world is a medium for comedy. Things that you see out in the world, like the pisswasser beer in GTA 5, there's less of that in Red Dead. There's more humanity.
Look out! What in holy hell are you doing, boy? Get that back up again right now.
It's odd because they both feel very similar, but the tone of the world and the setting is quite polar. Like you were saying, the GTA 5 being an approximation of California, it's very recognizable and it's an enjoyable place to be, but I've loved my time in Red Dead so much more because it's a more beautiful place to be, it's a more human place to be.
Feels like a more chilled out place as well, Red Dead.
Yeah, well, depending where you go, Rhodes is a bit of a weird place.
Yeah, but like GTA, I felt like you can do side activities like play golf or, have fun in the world, but it felt more stressful. Whereas Red Dead, you can just go out into the countryside all by yourself, and yeah, you may have a bounty on your head, but you can go fishing, you can go hunting wildlife, you can go admire the beautiful landscapes. It feels like more going on holiday, whereas GTA to me just felt a bit like this is real. The world feels a bit more oppressive in that everyone hates you and people are not very nice. And there are people like that in Red Dead. But it also has, on the flip side, nice people, and you can do nice things.
Cut the ropes, please. I ain't have to take this.
In a way, I feel like GTA 5 is a little more slapstick. Like if you mount the curb in your car and start mowing down pedestrians, it'll cause you some trouble in the short term, but it feels quite inconsequential, which is good for GTA 5. It feels like it needs that slapstick. It has its humor and it has the kind of over-the-top violence to, show off its mechanics and its style, and that's GTA. That's great, and I've loved that series. But Red Dead, I'm currently working on a feature now that is about me being a virtual tourist in Red Dead, and that's my favorite thing about the world so far. Is it's so deep and so detailed and so amazing and so beautiful that it's almost allowing me to, experience that time period in that area in a way that would be impossible before. This is really Red Dead is the closest approximation of visiting that time period that I think we ever had in movies, books, video games ever, and that's it's been astounding to me.
Arthur, come lend a hand here.
Go ahead and call your mama for all I care.
You might want to quit that. That drunk's got mean friends, believe me.
So let's talk about characters. Grand Theft Auto 5 had 3 that you could switch between.
Yep.
Red Dead Redemption has just one character, Arthur Morgan. How are you finding him so far?
I actually prefer going to like the single protagonist style because it's allowed me to get to know Arthur in a much more intimate way. The character feels a bit more fleshed out than Franklin, Trevor and Michael did in GTA 5. I have found myself really kind of becoming attached to not only Arthur but the surrounding characters of his gang. It's been really cool to see those fleshed out more in this iteration of the game. Even my horse, like I bonded with my horse, which I didn't expect.
All right, boy.
Even to the point of the way I play it, the honor system plays in, so my actions in the world are having a reaction from NPCs. There was a moment when I caused some trouble in Valentine. That gave me a bounty. I paid off the bounty, went back, and then everyone was a bit wary of me. That was really cool to see because again, it's that direct connection to the character and the people around him.
We've run far worse than you out of town before.
Oh, come on, man. Someone throws a punch, you punch back. Don't bother pretending different.
Rockstar are very good at having dialogue that does react to your character and the characters around you, the way they talk to you. It's like being in a little family, isn't it? When you set up camp, it's actually quite nice. You just get up in the morning,
do a bit of chores,
have some
your
coffee.
stew.
Yeah, it's quite nice to be a part of that, and everyone sort of reacts differently to you, and their characters seem to be developing individually to what else is happening in the camp.
Good morning, Arthur. What's wrong? Thought you'd be happy to be off that mountain. How you feeling? Stronger for sure.
The bonus of GTA 5 is, like I said, that it was 3 polarizing stories. They played differently. They were seeing the world from a different point of view. There was Michael, who was having like family troubles and financial troubles. Trevor, who was the loose cannon, who was kind of unhinged, and then Franklin, who was trying to make a name for himself and better himself, and he was kind of being dragged back by his yee ass haircut.
Maybe if you got rid of that old yee ass haircut you get some bitches on your dick.
But I found, although the characters started off quite different in GTA, and actually I found using like Trevor as an outlet for all the classic GTA, all the bad stuff.
That was when
you
you started like getting a 5-star wanted ranking.
Yeah,
and
you're like, I want to let loose. I'm going to switch to Trevor, cause mayhem, and then go back to Michael or Franklin and do more civilized things.
feel a bit more grounded.
But by the end of the game, it felt like that didn't make much difference, and the 3 characters were all hyper-violent, and they became, you know, just interchangeable for me. Whereas I think Red Dead, it has a really solid main character who you're invested in, and you're constantly reminded of how they feel in that world and their wants and needs in relation to the rest of the people that they're surrounded by.
See, I feel like your point to GTA 5, and I totally understand that because it's a culminating story, but I feel like that was because Franklin was learning from Michael and Trevor was stressing Michael out, so they kind of became, you know, they took elements from each other.
All right, Holmes. I ain't your homie. I'm someone you want to impress.
Like I said before, it has been really cool to bond with such a well-written, well-fleshed-out character that is not only built up and like created super well and written super well, but also allows me to actually project a little bit of myself onto that character.
I think there's still that contrast though, where you're being a good person, you're, you know, not hustling people, you're going hunting, you're minding your own business. Then you're thrown into a story mission where you're killing a whole town full of lawmen.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, I am still playing Red Dead Redemption. I'm not in this fantasy world that's my utopia where I can do what I want and have fun. It's still quite violent, and those things still, you are forced down a certain track, I think.
It's chaotic good, isn't he?
Yes, yeah.
Chaotic good Arthur.
Hello.
I'll go to hell.
So in terms of actually playing the game, if you've played GTA 5, you can pick up a controller and be instantly familiar with the Red Dead controls. They play pretty much similar in the terms of menus and running and shooting. They're very, very similar. But what you can do in the world and the pacing and the environment and just the experience are actually very different.
Yeah, Grand Theft Auto is this mad, crazy, adrenaline-fueled, fast-paced massacre through a city and a country that we know. And it's quite a contrast when you start playing Red Dead and you're like, oh, actually, I need to take things a bit slow.
It's a much slower burner, yeah.
Hey, y'all.
How'd you do?
Hello, sir.
And even down to like how you get around, like riding a horse versus driving a sports car. Personally, I find the driving of GTA still a lot more fun and found those moments between missions and traversing the world a bit more exciting. But yeah, would you say like Red Dead just feels a lot more slower paced? And how did that affect your approach to the game?
They've both got they both can be quite cathartic. Like you were saying, GTA 5 is like the intense stress reliever. Whereas Red Dead Redemption 2 is kind of like a nice relax sort of game, I feel. Towards the end of GTA 5, I was like, I'm just gonna call a taxi and get to where I need to go, I'm gonna fast travel. But I feel like fast traveling in Red Dead Redemption 2, you're kind of missing out on one of the best parts of it, which is that amazing world. And you come across such bizarre things just out on your travels in Red Dead Redemption. Just seeing someone at the side of the road who needs help, or someone shouting at you as you go past. Whereas GTA 5, you could jump in your car, like pedal to the metal, crank the radio on. I feel that means you're gonna miss a lot of what you're going.
You're just flying by
past.
buildings.
Yeah. But obviously, the traverse of the world's one element. Gunplay is also a huge one. Again, they play very different, very similarly in the way that they aim, the way they control. But because of, I suppose, just the time it's set in, the gunplay in Red Dead is much more deliberate, I feel. And you'll find yourself not actually having as many gunfights as you do in GTA 5. It's much more grounded in the gunplay mechanics, and the fact that you have like machine guns, sniper rifles and rocket launchers feels very different.
It feels much more mechanical in that your gun needs to be maintained, you have to look after it. And while you still have that sort of jump out of cover and pop to your target, that gunplay is quite similar. But then Deadeye, which was my favourite thing from the last Red Dead Redemption game, is back. And it's all tied to your cores, which I find a bit tricky to look after. What do you think about the core system?
I really like the core system because it feels, it's another element of me connecting with Arthur, because it feels like he's getting stronger as I'm experiencing more of the game. But again, it's that element of realism that it's forced upon, but again, not in an unwelcome way. It's every system in Red Dead has been implemented and presented to you in a very natural way, I feel.
Yeah.
These mechanics is just, it's not got to the point where they feel unwelcome. It's just a nice little tidbit to kind of attach you to the game a little more and think about the way you're playing a little more, you know, like you say, deliberate, a little more human. And that's really been my favorite part about Red Dead 2.
I totally agree. And I think the role playing is something I'm doing way more in Red Dead, in that I make sure Arthur goes to bed and he has a bath and he shaves. And it's like, I never really thought about this in GTA, but in Red Dead, I want to take care of Arthur as if he was me.
Yeah. Keep my beard nice and tidy. You know, if he's done a big heist, I'll take him out and buy him a new hat, because he deserves the best.
Treat yourself, Arthur.
Yeah, good lad.
Thank you.
So if you've played Grand Theft Auto 5, and you probably have, there's a lot to enjoy in Red Dead Redemption. Dave, what would you say are like the big things that GTA fans are going to get out of Red Dead?
It's interesting because there's a lot of GTA fans that have actually never played a Red Dead game, but if you want that amazing level of Rockstar polish and attention to detail, the amazing writing that have been in both games, you're gonna get that, but you're also going to get a much more human story. You're going to get something that's a bit more dramatic, a bit more deliberate, a bit slower paced, a much wider world with a lot more to experience. It's just a really insanely polished game that I can't put down in a way that's like really surprised me.
It's definitely a game that you've got to sort of take slowly and appreciate, and just let yourself take your time with it, enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a game that needs respecting, and I think it's respectful of your time as well. Like,
Absolutely.
sit down for a few hours and enjoy it. So no doubt you've got your own interesting stories about Red Dead that we would love to hear. And especially if this is your first Red Dead game, like, please let us know what you think of it. I'd really love to hear your point of view. You can leave that in the comment section below, or you can find me on Twitter. I am at @IrregularDave, and Bill is at
The Quiff is dead.
He did a really good Red Dead tweet the other day from cinematic mode, so at the very least you should go check that out. But for everything else Red Dead Redemption 2, stay tuned to GameSpot, partner.